All right, we're going to take a look at maps. Now, maps use key value pairs, meaning that you have keys tied to values, and you can use those keys to retrieve those values. So in some ways, it's a lot like a phone book. You can use a name to retrieve a phone number. So in that case, your key would be the name, and the value you're retrieving would be the phone number. So we went ahead and created a variable named phone book, and we're passing in a map literal. It is a empty map literal, but it's still a map literal. And let's just go ahead and run this. And there we go. So we printed off our empty map. And to assign a value in a map, all you got to do is give it the name of your map followed by the brackets. And inside those brackets, you just want to give it the name of the key you would like to use. And of course, we just assign the value. So we have two different values assigned into our map. And we're going to go ahead and print the value that's tied to the key for John Smith. So it's just, again, to retrieve it, we have our map. And inside the brackets, we're putting our key. So as you can see here, here is the number for the key value pair, John Smith. And of course, we print phone book at the end, so you can see we have our map. We have keys separated from the values with a colon. Let's go down to our next example. Now with this one, we're passing in another map literal, but we're just passing in the values as we're creating that map literal. So as you can see, we have our key, separated from our value, like we said, with a colon. And these key value pairs are separated from each other simply by a comma. So we create our map, and then we're going to go ahead and access the value for the key for Jane Doe. And that should print. Let's go ahead and run that. So that prints, as you can see, there's the value tied to the key Jane Doe. And then we just reassign it like we were in the previous example. And of course that prints. Now, one other thing to be aware of is a map is an unordered group of elements. So if you needed order, you might need something like an array. But anyway, maps are unordered. So as you can see here, we're just printing off this map several times. As you can see, sometimes John Smith is the first element in our map that's retrieved. Sometimes Jane Doe is, but there's no particular order in it. I know that's not like a phone book. We have computers looking this up, so it really doesn't matter. Computers are really fast. So just be aware of that. Maps are not ordered. Another thing to be aware of is you can't assign a value to an uninitialized map, because uninitialized maps are nil. I'll just show the error, and the compiler is going to go ahead and panic because assignment to entry in a nil map. So what we were doing before, we were assigning a map literal, and the first one didn't have any values in it, but it was still a map literal, so it was initialized. This one, we're just declaring a map, and that's going to create a map that is nil. So we don't want that, so you either need to pass in a map literal or use the make function. Okay, so the make function, we can use this to make several different data types, and in this one, we're just making a map. So as you can see, we need a type, and we could say, hey, approximately how many spaces we want to go ahead and put in our map. Notice it doesn't say capacity, so it's just going to try and find the approximate amount of elements that we're going to go ahead and put in there. Anyway, we're using our make function and we're passing in our data type, which is a map with keys that are of type string and values of type int. I didn't pass in a size, so it's just going to go ahead and resize the map for me behind the scenes. Probably be a little more performant if I went ahead and just gave it the size I knew it needed. Anyway, in this one, our map is called populations, and these are just the populations as of 2020, what the populations of these countries are. We went ahead and saved those. Let's run that. And as you can see, we print out our map here at the end. We have all these different countries that are in no particular order, but we could use any one of those keys to look up any one of those values. So if you want to know the population of Indonesia, you would just pass that in and bam, there it goes. Now, we also have another built-in function we're going to use, and that one is the delete function. So the delete function will take our map, it'll take a map, and it'll take a key. Basically, you say, hey, take this map and find this key and delete that key value pair from the map. As we can see here, we've created a place that does not exist. So we have this not a real place, and we've assigned it a population. So we don't want this in our map anymore, and this is just going to delete that. And as you can see, we had that in the previous time we printed off, but down here we delete it, so we no longer have it. As you can see, we have just real places after this point. So just remember, key value pairs are great just for a quick lookup, for an unordered data set. So anyway, I hope that was helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.